Shalom, shalom, peace and shalom, family. What's going on? We are back with a Saturday night live session. This is the night hour edition, right? Because it's super late. Super late. I was really gonna postpone it again. I was gonna postpone it again for tomorrow night, but I realized that there would be a riot in the streets if I did that. So I was like, yeah, it's all good. So, y'all know my motto. I don't want to be on this for too long. But I mean, I'll rock out as long as y'all are here. You feel what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's a couple things that we could chat about. I don't know why it looks fine here, but on the stream it looks kind of crazy. I don't know. Yeah, I know. Yes. So, peace and shalom, family. Shout out to Just Looking in the building. Bezaliel, Yisrael in the building. Beat Boss Productions in the building. My sister Samaria B in the building. All right. So, I'm gonna touch on a few things. I'm gonna let y'all know what went down earlier today. I'm gonna share this with y'all so you can see what's going on out here in Atlanta, what I'm involved in. All right. What the future is going to be for the community out here in Atlanta. And this is extremely important for those of you who do live in Atlanta. And if you don't live in Atlanta, it is still important as well if you follow along with the strategy that can then be implemented in your community, right? So, let me so y'all know what's going on. All right. All right. So I don't know what this is. Keep that. I'm gonna show y'all this. Shout out to 916 Shan in the building. Kiefer Abiel Ben Israel, Reliable Andrew, Nisi's Pieces, Debate Talk for You, Sal Showtime. Shout out to Sal Showtime. He had a show yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. And it was discussing or talking about RBG Hebrews. You know what I'm saying? So I'll put the link in the chat before the session is over for y'all. Or Sal, you can put the link in the chat if you want so people can check it out. He invited me onto the show, and I gave a little bit towards the end, but it was a great show. It was a great show. All right. So let me go ahead and show this to y'all. So those of you who watch this channel and don't have Facebook, hit 1. All right. So if you watch this channel and you don't have Facebook, hit 1. All right. I need to see who in here is on Facebook following and who's not. All right. Let me go ahead and share. Don't forget to share this link, family. I'm going to go ahead and share the link now. Give me a second. All right, I'm gonna pop this up. Okay. So, these PCs, it's only one person that is not on Facebook that's on this channel, that subscribes to this channel. So it's all good. Shout out to Jordan's Cadet in the building. My brother Malak Lorenzo Amadis. Let's see who else is here. Azazaya Ban Yahavada in the building. All right. So family, hit 2 if the audio video is on point. Hit 2 if the audio video is on point. The Chosen Few said, what time is it where you're at, Divine? It is 3:34 a.m. So it's very early in the morning, okay? Or some people may say late at night in Layla, right? So, all right, y'all saying the video and audio is on point. All right, that's good. That's good, that's good, that's good. All right, I think the lighting is good too. So if everything is good, shout out to Real Talk with Bree in the building, Sankofa, John, 7 Instead Apart. I think that's Kanisha Harden, Micah Israel. All right, there you go. Yeah, some of y'all is on the West Coast, so I mean, this is not even late for y'all. Matter of fact, the regular hours that I do what I do, those of you on the West Coast, I mean, that's that's not even late for y'all. But those of us on the East Coast or even in the UK, I think it's 6-hour difference. I think it's like 9 a.m., 9:30 over there in the UK. So somebody's in the UK, they could probably confirm that for me. Shout out to Christopher Harris. Yoel Ben Israel, Shalom. All right, so the audio video looks good. All right, my brother Young Ak in the building. All right, so let's get started, family. All right, so I want to give a special shout out real quick, and then I want to get started. Just give me a second, family. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right. So, I want to give a shout out to a Cherie Huey for the support and the contributions to KHM. So shout out to Cherie Huey for the support and contributions to KHM. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for the words of encouragement as well as your contribution and support. And I truly appreciate that. Shout outs goes to everybody else also who have contributed and supported and shared and prayed for KHM so that we are successful. I'm gonna explain to you one of the benefits of supporting KHM to those of you who are concerned about community development, community improvement, etc. So a lot of y'all know that I'm on the pro-activism vibe, right? And the difference between pro-activism and activism, activists are people that respond to external stimuli that is unfavorable, right? Or that is adverse, right? So they respond or they react, right? So police shoot somebody, they go protest and march because they're angry and they complain. And then once the cameras are off, they go home and the issue is still prevalent in the community. Proactivist is somebody that assesses all of the adverse elements in the community and say, hey, look, how can we put preventive measures in place so we can deduce and minimize these adverse effects so that way we don't have to march and protest all the time, right? We can actually get the solutions via the efforts that we put in so that we can yield a favorable outcome. So KHM is involved when it comes to community pro-activism, right? And looking at various ways to implement autonomy into the community so that way we can become a self-governing entity. And not only a self-governing entity, we can minimize and deduce the societal ills that we face from being in a schism in a society that was not created in favor of us. You feel what I'm saying? So there's various angles in which we approach this so that way we can yield the results that we are looking for. So that way, again, we can get enough breathing room to become autonomous, so we can, ultimately cut ties, from the oppression that we're facing and support from the oppressors and be able to be self-sustaining, self-governing. It's also beneficial to the oppressors because that's less energy, effort, and resources that they put in to governing our day-to-day affairs, that we're actually taking matters into our own hands. The double-edged sword to that is that they're realizing that people of color are actually binding together and creating their own community that is autonomous, self-governing, and that they run every element and aspect of. What this does is that this prevents gentrification, and those who have plans for gentrifying certain Black communities are not really happy with Black people running the community because they can keep out the gentrification and preserve whatever heritage they have left in that area in which they were brought up in. You know what I'm saying? Them, their ancestors, their descendants, etc. So one way to segment gentrification and prevent it from railroading through our community is to create these municipalities or these Black cityhoods. And in doing so, we can create policy, and the policy creators are the individuals who are in the city council, whether you have a weak mayor, when you have a strong mayor, whether you have a council manager, however you have this set up. These are individuals that live in the community. They see the detrimental effects of gentrification in the community. So therefore, they put policy in place to slow it down or even prevent it altogether. And you got to realize that policy is the thing that dictates the actions that you see. So the actions that you see that's taking place is a byproduct of the policy that's been put in place by the people who are actually running the politics of the community, that are in charge of running the economics in the community, the social structure in the community, etc. But what better people to actually run this than the people that actually live in the community? And we talk about the people that make up the majority of the community, right? Not a small portion of people that live in the community that are reaping all the benefits, but they're not the majority, but they're the minority that's running everything. Those days should come to an end soon if we continue to support these initiatives going forward. So out here in Atlanta, in Fulton County, we have Stonecrest and South Fulton, which are two Black cityhoods, right? Two municipal incorporations that the community got together after seeing all these municipalities. They decided, hey, we're going to do the same thing ourselves. It took several years, but both towns are successful. Now in DeKalb County, there's another initiative. Actually, there's two, Vista Grove and Greenhaven. So those are other two potential cityhoods, Black cityhoods that are trying to come up off the ground, and they've been fighting a battle for years trying to get this established. But again, those who are invested in gentrification, then you have the Black politicians that are in those communities who have been put in power by, people who are funding their campaign, which don't look like us. So therefore, they represent their interests, which is the minority in those communities. We have a lot of means of opposition. There's even lobbying groups and protesting groups that are against this Greenhaven initiative. If Greenhaven actually takes hold and we're successful, Greenhaven would be the largest city in the entire state of Georgia, and it will be owned, run, and operated by Black folk. Now think about it. In the entire state of Georgia, if this initiative is successful, Black folk are going to be running the biggest city. I'm talking about a city that's bigger than Atlanta as far as square mileage, etc. The biggest city in the entire state of Georgia, right? Now you got to think about that. You know what I'm saying? Look at the demographics of Georgia. You know what I'm saying? And consider that. You know what I'm saying? And not only if they incorporate, they're going to be the biggest city, but I will do my best to ensure that their sustainability and their success is going to improve and increase each and every year. And that's what my interest is in the Greenhaven initiative, right? So I have a video on my YouTube channel that a lot of y'all who follow, even y'all from Facebook, has been put up recently, where I gave a consultation to an individual who wanted to start a Black cityhood in the state of Georgia. And I gave him a quick consultation on it. And he's been doing a great job organizing and getting everything together and so forth. And what I do is I consult. So not just in Georgia, but another state as well. If, the mechanics is in place in order to formulate a municipality, then I pretty much give the consultation to the community out there. and they get things up and running. But those of you who follow me on Facebook, you'll saw that today I went out to an event. It was like a party kind of meet and greet event for a lot of the people that are involved in a Green Haven initiative. I spoke with Catherine Rice, and she is the individual, Dr. Catherine Rice, excuse me. And she is the individual who is responsible for starting the Green Haven initiative. And I spoke with her today, had a great conversation with her. So pretty much what I will be involved in doing going forward is bringing social media awareness, public awareness, and doing educational training and educating the community on why they should vote, what a municipality is, how it's beneficial, etc. So I'm pretty much doing PR for the Green Haven initiative. They have a lot of things in place, but it's really not advertised like it needs to be. And the people who are opposing it, they're on the advertising end, and that's why they've been so successful in stifling the Green Haven initiative. But I'm not going to give up, and everybody who's part of this initiative, we're not going to give up. All right. So, and again, remember, a victory for us is a victory for these types of municipalities all over the entire country. There's not that many Black cityhoods, right? You have chocolate cities where you have the demographic of the city is mostly people of color, but they're not governing anything. And if they are governing it, a lot of their campaigns are funded by people that don't look like them, right? So the economic initiative also has to be at the forefront. And I have several ways that we can inflate our economical value to a point where we can sustain ourselves without having to go outside of our community to get the assistance. And we have everything we need in our own communities. It's just bringing everybody on board. And like I said, what I explained to you earlier about the RBG ideology, listen, let me keep it a buck with you. A lot of these people that's behind this Green Haven initiative that sees the benefit of Black citihoods, they're Christians, okay? Most of them are Christians, right? So am I going to say, oh, you know what, man, look, these are Christians doing it. I don't have nothing to do with it. I'm going to stay over here. No, that's retarded. Okay. So you have to be able to put those differences aside for a greater good, because in working with them and establishing these Black municipalities, it gives us, meaning those as part of our community, it gives us a benefit, which means that now if we are in control of the city, we can have our own sector in the city. And we can ensure that all the legal constructs is in place, that we are not afflicted by any adverse policy that will come against our own little sector in the entire community. And being that people that's in the community looks like us, we're able to keep the crime down, inflate the economics, bring jobs there, our own community banking, community foundations, and even potentially community currency, which is on another level. And I'm not sure if my peers in the Green Haven initiative, and most of the people who's behind it are much older than me. I'm talking about people in their late 50s, 60s, and people who are well accomplished, right? But the youth is not there, okay? So I'm trying to bring social media awareness to bring the youth so we can assist our elders, right? Our elders should not be doing all the grunt work, right? They're supposed to be the advisors, the consultants, and we're supposed to be the movers and shakers. And even my generation, in my 30s, the generation that's below me in their 20s, and even the teenagers, they all need to be involved. But if you're not making it appealing to them, if you don't know how to approach them with the information so they can see the benefit of it, then it's not going to go anywhere, right? And that's one disconnect that the older generation has. They have the resources and tools to put these things in place, but they don't have, the proper PR to get it rolling, okay? And that's when I looked at the need and said, you know what? I need this to be successful for our community. So KHM is going to get behind this, and we're going to push this full steam ahead. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Cohart's Music in the building, Yanib Yasharala, Quincy Claiborne, my brother Quincy Claiborne. Oh, this is going to be bigger than Black Wall Street. You know why? Because we're going to be our own entity. We're not going to be bordering, an opposing town that hates us or don't like us. We're going to have our own community. We're going to govern everything, which means we're going to have our own police department, our own fire district, school district, city council, mayor, public utilities. Everything is going to be in our hands, right? We're going to be running the show, controlling everything. But again, one of the biggest issues, especially for the Greenhaven situation, is, lack of resources, I'm saying, and finances, so whatever I get from you guys, I pull it elsewhere, right? So that way it can be beneficial to other initiatives that have our vision in scope, right? And we can get that dead on sniper shot and get this thing done, get the assignment done. So those of you who are watching me right now, the shirt that I have on, so y'all can see it, says Greenhaven, Georgia, the city is coming. All right. So the slogan is Imagine Greenhaven. The issue that we have in our community is that we don't have a lot of visionaries, and the visionaries that we do get don't really get enough provisions in order for the vision to take place, right, or become an actuality. It can be realized, but to be actualized is another step. So even what we do with KHM, the scholarship that we bring, the restorative cultural dynamics that we discuss, the community building efforts, the naturopathic health consultation program, debt elimination program, the pro-activism initiatives, all those things that's birthed out of KHM. We need the provisions in order to get these things done. I work contract jobs, and other people that assist the ministry, who are members of the ministry, they have their own respective works in the communities that they're in. We do our best to keep things afloat. But when you guys share these videos, when y'all pray for us, and when y'all donate, y'all help to move this thing forward, because those are the provisions that we need. Even if you can get us in touch with other contacts, you know what I'm saying? Or if you are the contact, we need people who are plugs too. If you are the contact and can make certain things happen, let us know. We're not sitting down and twiddling our thumbs and just don't wait for something. And we're getting things done for the benefit of all of y'all out there. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm going to show you some material from Greenhaven, so y'all can pretty much get an idea of what it's about. Y'all can go to www.greenhaven-ga.com. All right. Matter of fact, what I'm going to do, let me go ahead and show y'all. I'm going to show y'all my Facebook page so you can see some of these pictures that I took today at the event. All right. And then after I finish talking about the Black Cityhood Greenhaven initiative, I'll transition into the Q&A. All right. So let me pull these images up so y'all can see. Let me share it with y'all real quick. All right, there we go. Okay. So here's a picture of me at the Greenhaven Initiative office. This is Catherine Rice, and or Dr. Catherine Rice. She's the pioneer of the Greenhaven Initiative. All right. And on the back, these little plaques up here, they're talking about the various elements that make Greenhaven what it is, and the major points of the initiative. All right, which is economics, politics, community development, things of that nature. Okay. Here's another image behind the map where Greenhaven in DeKalb County will be carved out and become this incorporated municipality. All right. And again, that's me and Dr. Catherine Rice. I don't know, this picture looks really weird. I look like an old man here, right? But anyway, here's again the 4 points and the Greenhaven plaque up here. This is me standing outside of the Greenhaven office, all right, as well. So this is one of the flyers that I'm going to show you in a second, and here's the other flyer, all right, or the other side of the flyer, which I'm going to get into in a second, all right? So that's just for those of you who are not on Facebook, and you miss a lot of stuff. I post more on Facebook than I do anywhere else on social media, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or Facebook, yes, or YouTube, right? So I post more frequently on Facebook. And matter of fact, there's a lot of stuff that I've posted on Facebook that I need to transition here to YouTube, but I will in due time. All right, so let me show y'all some of the material that I got here and go over it with y'all real quick so y'all know what's going on. But you can go to the website again and you can check it out for yourself, which is I'm sorry, it's www.greenhaven-ga.org. Okay, so I'm gonna start first with this flyer here. All right, so you see this flyer, designing a vibrant future. Imagine South DeKalb's potential. Okay, South DeKalb is a staple in the city of Atlanta. There's a lot of history there, a lot of a lot of land and a lot of infrastructure that has the blood, sweat, and tears of the Black community there in South DeKalb. All right. I mean, there's a lot in South DeKalb. One day I may take a tour for those of you who are outside of the state or outside of the city and actually show y'all what is, historically what's there in South DeKalb and why South DeKalb is important for us to preserve and prevent gentrification. All right. Because remember, there's a lot of people in the white community who do not want this thing to come into fruition. They're the ones that are opposing us without being openly racist. So they'll say things like, oh, it's going to drive up taxes, and oh, it's going to affect the property value, and oh, it's going to do this, and oh, it's going to do that. And these are inflated issues that they're exaggerating, and because they want to scare people away from supporting it. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, our people don't really see value in themselves. So even if we have experts that look like us, if experts are outside of our community or pointing and say, no, this is wrong, most of our people are swayed to listening to them. So unfortunately, we are sometimes our own biggest enemy. You know what I'm saying? So it has to do with the reformation of the mind. And that's what culture does. Culture and community helps to reform the mind and the social interactions, right? And once we can improve those things and we can increase the value within self and outside self, intrinsically and extrinsically and socially, then we can actually become more autonomous, right? But a lot of reforming needs to happen, all right? And that first starts with proper or appropriate education, okay? So if you can continue looking at this flyer, all right, it says the Greenhaven Initiatives. Down here, it says a glimpse into our world as it could be, where people are free to self-determine how to make the best of their own potential, right? And it says from commentary on Wakanda. So what they're doing is trying to turn Greenhaven into any Wakanda, okay? And they have so many strategies in place to do this, right? This is a very exciting time to be a part of this initiative. You feel what I'm saying? So I will go more and more in depth once I finalize with the committee what they're okay with being out in the public, right? What I can share as a PR representative of the initiative, and I'll be able to slowly release it out to y'all so y'all can see what's going on, okay? So on the back, it says a group of South DeKalb neighbors started a movement to incorporate a new city, all right? Greenhaven, this movement needs you. Okay, so now what they're attempting to do is dispel a lot of rumors. Now, one of my job that's is going to be is the opposition that are making all their points as to why Greenhaven should not come into fruition. I'm actually going to create a point by point analysis of that and a rebuttal, right? And not just a rebuttal, a refutation. So I'm gonna create this presentation and I'm gonna present it to not only the committee and the people that are supporting, but to the public at large, because my objective, again, commencing the PR aspect of Greenhaven is to sway our community to understand the reality of what this is and how it can benefit them. All right. So you'll see a lot of material coming out via me and the Greenhaven team that I'll be spearheading to ensure that we're able to meet this competition head on. All right. It says, don't cities hurt the growth of their Counties, nonsense. When cities grow, so do their counties. Look at Atlanta, Decatur, Sandy Springs, and other cities. All the citizens benefit. All right. It says, but won't Greenhaven raise taxes on seniors? Nonsense. Seniors and other vulnerable populations are protected from rising taxes that will occur if there is no incorporation. Isn't it better we just remain unincorporated? Nonsense. Cities keep all their tax revenue while unincorporated areas have to share their revenue with cities. Isn't Greenhaven just too big? Nonsense. Greenhaven size will keep our taxes low and put you at the table with the big boys. And that's the fear of the minority in this. They don't want us to sit at the table. Okay. Stand up and speak truth to fear. Let's discuss how to best work it out together. Be part of the Citizen Participation Cityhood Model Community Area Planning Unit, CAPUs. And it tells you the meeting dates, and the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. And that's a quote by Malcolm X. All right. www.greenhaven.ga.org. Okay. So y'all can go to the website and check it out, and you'll be able to see more details. They have the economic plan on there. They have the charter information on there. They have the STEP program on there. Everything is on there. All right. Let me share this. Let me show this to y'all as well. Okay. Now remember, family, this is not just exclusively only in Atlanta, all right, or in the state of Georgia. Other states also allow you to incorporate into a municipality so you can create your own Black cityhood. All right. So I'm gonna read this for you. It says the state of Georgia currently has one of the most robust economic development support packages in the United States. And that's a fact. That's one of the things that brought me to Atlanta. And it's consistently ranked as one of the top 5 business-friendly states in the U.S. Central to this support are state-offered financial incentives, which include tax credits, exemptions, and subsidies that promote innovation, new employment, and infrastructure investment. Let me also put you on something else. Did y'all know that the film Avengers was filmed out here in Atlanta? Yeah, buddy. Yeah. So that goes to show you what's going down here in Atlanta and in the state of Georgia that we need to take advantage of. All right. And these Black citihoods, municipal corporations, is one way to get us towards that goal. All right. DCAP also has a number of tools to encourage the local economy, including TAD, CIDs, and LCIs. While it has the tools, what the county presently lacks is a systematic application of these incentives to support entrepreneurship, target industries, and a broader economic development strategy. While refocusing DeKalb County's economic development efforts is important, it is equally important for DeKalb to be vocal in the broader discussion at the state level. One of the key issues currently facing the state is the current funding structure of government. As it is now, cities receive a disproportionately high percentage of tax revenues, creating de facto haves and have-nots within Georgia counties. And it tells you what you can do. Sign our petition, which is at www.bit.ly/Greenhaven petition for dismissing to friends and acquaintances. Consider supporting them financially by donating $10 or more and attend a Greenhaven sponsored event. All right. Then it says, imagine Greenhaven, a city with a government structure that is cost-effective, results-oriented, responsive to those they serve. A city of quality, planned business, ventures for growth, high-paying jobs, manufacturing, technical and educational business opportunities. A city designed for local participation by the community. A city planned by you for the future. All right. So, family, all of this can become a reality. We sit here and talk about Israel as a nation. And I'm like, how are you a nation? A nation where? You know what I'm saying? Where do you have all of these things in place for somebody to say, oh, y'all are really a nation? No, we're not a nation. We're an ethnic group that had a nation. We're people now. We're not a nation, family. You feel what I'm saying? Can we get the benefits of a nation while being in captivity? Yes, we can. And the best way to approach that is the autonomy model that is in the Black cityhood or the municipal incorporation model. Okay. Also, another thing that I'm doing is linking the UN initiative of the International Decade for People of African Descent, and concentrating that international community initiative on a local level and marrying that with the Black Cityhood municipal incorporation initiatives and bringing them together, so that way not only can we formulate it domestically, but we can also be recognized by implementing international initiatives on a local level, and therefore get support from the international community at large. So this is a game changer, right? So I'm just affording my IP in strategies and assessing this, and providing it to these initiatives so things can become a reality for us here in our captivity in the US, right? So ultimately, family, when it comes to looking at Deuteronomy chapter 28 verses 1 to 15, there are blessings that you can reap when it comes to keeping the statute, laws, and commandments of the Most High. Benefits is our cities prospering. We see that also in Jeremiah's letter to the Israelites, or the Yahudim, that was in Babylonian captivity, and Jeremiah chapter 29, where they were given an incentive, and they were given an motivation, and it was given directives and instructions on what to do while you're in captivity. It's not to sit around and wait for the Most High to come, but it's to get the job done. We need to build vineyards and eat from them. We need to build houses and live in them. We need to marry amongst ourselves, keep our children within the community. We need to pray for the prosperity of the city, or appeal for the prosperity of the city, because if it prospers, we too will prosper. So we're Israelites here, and we're the exiles scattered in captivity. What are we doing to make appeal so that way the city prospers, so we too can prosper? And as we're prospering, we can continue to stay in alignment with Deuteronomy 28 verses 1 to 15. We have to be in forefront. We have to be the beacon of light to show the nations on how to get the job done, because we represent the greatest deity of all time. But unfortunately, a lot of us want to sit back, twiddle our thumbs, and say, oh, it's just about the statute, laws, and commandments, and never make it reality. But yet they have to deal with housing. They have to deal with food. They have to deal with public education for their children. They got to deal with a car. They got to deal with the structure of their roads and how bad the roads are, foreclosures, and so many different other things that we have to deal with day to day. And if you just sit down and say, we're going to keep the statute, laws, and commandments, that does not miraculously fix the environment around you. You have to get involved, and you got to get something done. All right. So the concerned citizens for Cityhood of South DeKalb. All right. I'm just going to show this to y'all real quick. All right. DeKalb County is the fourth most populated county in the state of Georgia out of 159 countries. In 2014, the median household income of DeKalb County residents was $50,799. However, 19.6% of DeKalb County residents live in poverty. Okay. DeKalb County versus Greenhaven government structure comparison. DeKalb County has an approximate population of 700,000 residents divided into 5 districts and 2 super districts. The proposed city of Greenhaven has each district will elect a city council person. According to the state constitution, a new city must provide a minimum of 3 of 16 services. There are additional services that only the county may provide. The proposed city of Greenhaven will initially provide the services of code enforcement, zoning, and land use, parks, and recreation. A county district commissioner mathematically represents 140,000 residents. A Greenhaven city council person mathematically represents 48,000 residents. The county is represented by a CEO and 7 district commissioners. The proposed city of Greenhaven has a mayor, 7 council persons, and a minimum of 30 and a maximum of 114 residential community volunteers. The city structure does not replace this county government districts, nor are you double taxed. The city Greenhaven may make laws and rules without county or state approval if they do not contradict. So this is great. That means we can create local statutes and ordinances that deal primarily with the societal ills that we face on a local level in our communities without having to wait for the county and the state to get involved, which can take forever. All right. Cityhood's greatest weakness, a lack of residential participation. And that is what they're trying to change. And that is one of my main objectives in getting involved with it, is to change that. All right. Cityhood's greatest strength, residential participation. So when we get it, it's great. When we don't get it, it's bad. But ultimately, it is the participation of the people that live in the community and to obligate them to support these initiatives so that way we can become successful. All right. Then it says, what can I do? Step 1, stop complaining. Step 2, start participating. Join in the effort to do something for ourselves. First, we must want to change. Secondly, we must participate in making a change. And third, we must maintain the change. I was listening to a song by Lauryn Hill, and man, I can't be forgotten. I forgot the name of the song. That's crazy. Some of y'all may know what it is, but her song is her song. And there's a part of the lyrics where it goes, "It's not what you cop, but it's what you keep." That means it's not what you get, but it's what you're able to keep and maintain. And that is why we are outmatched, because we're always about getting something, but we're never trained on how to keep and maintain it. And that is what we must do on a smaller, minute level within our homes and extend it out to the broader community. All right. But the good news is Torah teaches you how to do that. All right. And then for more information, go to our webpage, www.greenhaven-ga.org. I'm telling you right now, family, this is history right here. Like I said, when we get this popping, it's going to be the biggest city in the entire state of Georgia, owned and operated by Black folk. All right. And nobody can't tell us what to do. You know what I'm saying? As long as what we set up does not contradict county and state laws, statutes, and ordinances, we're good to enact it and run it how we see fit. And that is the greatest favor. We're talking about a city of almost 300,000 residents. Again, if this is formed, it will be the biggest city in the entire state of Georgia, family. And not only just the Greenhaven initiative. The objective is for this to be popping up over the entire US, so it can be a safe house for y'all out there. So let's say, for example, you're in a community where it's disproportionate as far as the representation of the community, as far as the housing benefits, the schooling benefits, and y'all need to go someplace. So that way you can reap the benefits of a community of people just like you. These citihoods will be around the entire country of the United States that you can go to. So those of you out here in Atlanta, once we get Greenhaven popping, we'll have initiatives for people who want to become new residents, right? Where you don't have to go outside the community to get anything. Job, housing, schooling, everything you need will be within the community. And there's other things that I'm pushing as well, such as getting our own mobile carrier, all right? Be able to control our own stations and content and create content for the community. There's so many things that we can do, but we just need the support. And KHM is pulling all our resources in, time, energy, and effort to get this thing off the ground for the benefit of everybody else that that wants to become a part of it. I know some of y'all out there, maybe in a different state, and say, well, I'm not in Atlanta, I'm not in Georgia. How is this going to benefit me? When this works, then it can work in your community. But what happens a lot of times is that if people is watching something from a distance and say, it's not really affecting me, they're not going to get involved. And the fortunate thing is they keep wondering why nothing happens on their end is because they're not participating to help somebody else become successful. That success can ricochet back onto you. So family, we have to get involved. We have to get something done. I'm doing my part. KHM, we're doing our part. And we want you guys to assist as well. So if y'all want to support these initiatives, you can do it through us, through KHM, right? Through sharing these videos, through having these discussions amongst your family and your community, by donating, by supporting the initiatives that we have, getting us in contact with various resources and people that actually have these connections, and we can get these things done. All right. So now that that's out the way, if y'all have any feedback on that, I'll go ahead and check the chats in regards to that. So give me a second. All right. I want to say thank you to True True Productions for the donation. I appreciate it. All right, so I think my screen froze. Um, oh no, I think it's back. I think everything's back. Yes, true, true. Thank you. It's Lauren Hill Final Hour. Yes, that's exactly what it was. I don't know why it escaped me. So my bad. Um, so thank you, Reliable Andrew, as well. Yes, let's if we support this and it gets off the ground, then we can bring this to your community. If anybody out there is interested, again, like I said, in creating these citihoods or these municipal corporations, you can definitely reach out to us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com, and we can come out to your town and assess it to see if whether or not a single incorporation can be done. And if so, we'll show you guys how to put together the charter, how to submit it, how to get it passed as a bill, how to set it up, how to establish it, how to structure it, and everything like that. And you guys can always look at what we're doing out here in Atlanta as a model on how to get things to work, and even learn from the mistakes that be made, so that way you guys don't make the same mistakes. And again, like I said, Stonecrest is already out here, South Fulton is already out here, and those are already to Black municipalities or Black citihoods that's already been established. Greenhaven, the only difference is going to trump them in regards to size. Okay, so this is something, like I said, that is a game changer. That will, I mean, history will be made if this thing, comes into fruition. You feel what I'm saying? So, shout out to Black Ave One in the building. Shout out to Choo Choo Productions in the building. And let me see who else is in here. Barzalai, Avshalom, Shamar Yah. I think I got everybody else in here. Megan Taylor. I think that's everybody. Mateo. Yes, Greenhaven is in Georgia. It's in South DeKalb County. All right. Malak, if you want to do a promo song, that would be great. It has to be really tight, really tight. And then I could share it with the committee and they can put it on the website. You understand what I'm saying? So as far as the UK, I'm sure it could probably be done in the UK. I'd have to research it and look into it to see. But if there's a will, there's a way. I'm sure it can also be done out there too. So I'll just have to research it, and if I come across something, I'll definitely let y'all know. All right. All right. So shout out to Sirius B and Ryan Smith in the building. Thank you so much, sis. I appreciate that, Choo Choo Productions. So yeah, and what I say as far as the Greenhaven initiative, once we get this thing popping, what I would love to do is anybody that would love to visit Atlanta. We want to be able to sponsor you guys to stay in the hotels that's out in Greenhaven in South DeKalb County and give you a tour of South DeKalb County, and what we're doing in order to get things popping. Or if it's already established at that time, show you the different initiatives and even encourage y'all, those of you who want to move and want to change, to give you the opportunity to do that. You feel what I'm saying? So imagine if all of our Israelite communities decided that we wanted to pull our resources and manpower and get these citihoods popping up everywhere. Then when it comes to the actual policy legislation of these citihoods, we can use a Torah model, for a lot of the establishment of certain statutes and ordinances on how things should be ran and organized and structured in the community. You feel what I'm saying? So one of the things that I may be doing in the next couple of years is running for city council. You know what I'm saying? Mayor, I don't know about running for mayor. I mean, it depends. We'll see what happens. But at least for city council, you know what I'm saying, for one of the districts. And that way, the objective is to assess our cultural values, ethics, and say, hey, how can we translate this into practical statutes and ordinances in this city so that it can prosper? It'll prosper because it has the backbone of what makes us move and operate. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, well, I mean, that's what they've been saying, that I should run for office. And like I said, I plan on doing that in the next couple of years. I'm gonna wait for about 3 years or so, 3, 4 years, because politics is something that I've never been involved in the past. So I just started looking into this in 2015, and only considering in 2017 that I may potentially run for office. And I've had so many people around me say, "Man, you should do it. You should do it." So I said, "Okay, well, if I'm going to do it, then I want to. If I'm going to run for office, it'll be for a city that I helped put together. You know what I'm saying? A city that I helped push forward, that I supported the initiatives of these elders that decided to come together and say, 'Yo, we're going to do this. Where's the youth at?'" And I could definitely give them a break and take the burden off of their shoulders, and just take it off of myself, me and my peers, and get it done, by soaking in what others have to do, and just putting it together, and setting the stage, at least for me, for the generation that is underneath me, so that way they got everything coming together as well. I don't know what just happened. Yeah. It froze a little bit. I'm not sure what's up. So yeah, so you guys can donate. Definitely donate to via PayPal, to PayPal. Wow. I don't even know what PayPal is. PayPal. Donate to PayPal at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. You can donate to our GoFundMe, which is Kingdom Harbinger Ministries. That's the GoFundMe. You can either become a Patreon as well by looking up Divine Prospect, or you can so PayPal, GoFundMe, Patreon, or you could do a super chat donation as well. And these resources will go aside for these initiatives like Greenhaven. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where that came from. What I think of? I think about it when I said PayPal. I think about it like when women are like, they get one of their friends, "Oh, let's go to the bathroom together." I'm like, "Yo, those are PayPals." You know what I'm saying? Those are people that go to the bathroom together, talk, or socialize, whatever. I mean, women, y'all are some very interesting individuals, I'll say the least. But we men, we're nothing without y'all. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so with that being said, family, I know it's late, so let me not hold y'all too long. For those of you who are in the chat, I'll give you an opportunity. We can do a Q&A real quick, and then I can sign off. So if y'all have any, let me tell you, in a lot of places that have unions and stuff like that, one of the best places to meet is in the bathroom, because the bathroom is a private space, and the bathroom typically does not have any cameras in it. And a lot of union meetings, a lot of let's say walkouts and so forth, a lot of those things were organized in the bathroom by employees. You know what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor there. You can go back and research that for yourself. All right. Yosef, some of those services will be provided by the county until the infrastructure is put in place for the cityhood of Greenhaven to be able to do it for themselves. So public safety, which will be your police department, will be ran by Greenhaven. The school district, it depends on which school district we're doing, because sometimes school districts are shared by various cities, and depending upon where that's zoned. As you can see in the flyer, we're working out a lot of the zoning things. You can see a lot of this in the charter. Go to greenhaven-ga.org and you'll see a lot of this in the charter. So again, the public utilities, water, sewage, garbage service, all of that will be in the hands of the city of Greenhaven. So we'll be able to do what we want to do in regards to those services, how we want to run it, how we want to structure it, how we want to fund it. My thing is, I'm trying to find ways in which we can fund things without having to tax the community. We want to keep taxes low. So I have ideas that I'm posing to the committee, that once Greenhaven gets off the ground, we can get things done without having to tax the community heavy. And that's one of the benefits. If you can run public utilities without people seeing that tax, I mean, that's a great incentive. That alone, even if it's like $5, you know what I'm saying? that will bring people to the city like, well, how are they able to do this? You know what I'm saying? It's possible. And in my my lecture that I have, the PowerPoint presentation that now I'm modifying it to cater to the Green Haven Initiative. I explain how we can get that done. You understand what I'm saying? So that's that. So a tour will be possible probably next year. There's two people that's running for office now that are part of the Green Haven Initiative, and I can show you these individuals. So we have Jocelyn O'Neill. All right. So she's running for Georgia House of Representatives District 86. Okay. And then we have Dean Hurd. All right. Dean Hurd. So both of these people were at the event today, and I got to meet both of them, speak with both of them, and they're excited for what we have going on. All right. So these two individuals are running, and what they're doing is putting things in place so that Green Haven can get up off the ground. You feel what I'm saying? So ultimately, that was an excellent question that was asked as far as the tour. The tour will be set in place once we are able to get a foothold, more of a foothold of success in regards to rolling Green Haven out. And y'all know, just stay tuned to KHM, this channel, and definitely I'll be pumping out that information to y'all. So Ryan Smith says, how do you feel about our nation's current political state? Our political state sucks because we are not the beneficiaries of anything, right? So hence why the cityhood idea is so important, right? We don't have to worry about the landscape as it concerns the general political state of affairs in regards to this country. The power is on the local level. And when you control the local level, you control the state. And when you control the state, you control the federal government, right? Unfortunately, people vote with a model that goes from the top down, and it should be from the ground up. So if you're not able to control the local, then whatever you do at the federal doesn't mean anything. I may give a course in politics and civics just so that people generally know, how, when you vote at the local level, when you make reform and change at the local level, how that impacts, state, county, state, and federal, right? But the places where we're concentrated at the most, if we're not controlling that, you could forget what's going on federally. It doesn't mean anything. And if you're talking about people of color, meaning so-called Black Negroes, etc., that's in America, there's only 46 million of us. Right. So we are a minority in this country, but we are the majority when it comes to certain communities. So the communities that we are the majority in, we can run them. We can take them over. We can control them. Right. Because that's where we live. We're the residents that are there. You know what I'm saying? So that is the most important thing. And not saying what Trump is doing. We need to control the local level first, and then we can sway policy at the state and federal level. All right. All right. Shout out to Matthew Yahoo, Israel in the building. Shout out to King Kosher. All right. So King Kosher says, Divine, when speaking of Elohim, is majestic plural, Divine, when speaking of Elohim, I think you're saying, is the majestic plural Hebrew grammar related, or is it doctrinal? My understanding is it literally is plural, speaking of a conglomerate council. I think I get what you're saying. So the idea of majestic plural is doctrinal, okay? And it's a way of fixing a henotheistic text to make it monotheistic, okay? And that's where the majestic plural comes from. But there is an instance in the text in which the majestic plural does make sense, okay, within the context of the verse. And that's in Psalms chapter 82, verse 1. All right. Now, we don't have a lot of majestic plural incidences in the text, okay? They're very sparse, okay? And most of the time when you see Elohim, it's normally speaking about the council, and in which, El, who's the chief over the Elohim, or El Elyon, who's the chief power over the Elohim of the divine council, is the one that actually makes the final rulings, and the council assists in carrying it out. But in most instances in the text, in the Tanakh, Elohim is referring to the divine council. We have a few sparse places in which it represents a majestic plural. So I'm not saying majestic plural is not valid. All I'm saying is, I mean, if you take the majestic plural and you impose it into the text, you are eisegeting the text, right? You're making the text say something other than what its intention is. So anytime you hear that term majestic plural, it does apply in a few instances, but for the most part, it is a doctrinal perspective, right? It's a way to teach monotheism or read it into the text, okay? So it is again, majestic plural is not authentic if you want to allow the text to speak for itself. And people that are familiar with Hebrew grammar, they're aware of this. I'm not talking about people who can read Hebrew and they are looking at the text from a religious perspective. I'm talking about people who mechanically understand the Hebrew grammar and the Hebrew language, and it's treating the text as cultural literature and allowing the text to speak for itself. And once it speaks for itself, you just get in alignment with what the text is saying, not what you want it to say, not what you're trying to make it say, but what the text is actually conveying to us, right? And I've learned to do that. It's been a process since coming into this truth back in late 2013, early 2014. So it's been going on over 4 years. It's been a process for me, but I'm at a point right now where I'm all about the culture of the text and not the religious aspect of the text and how to make Torah practical, right? So King Kosher says, what's wrong with a polytheistic view if we say Yod He Wav He, our gods are united, Echad? Not sure what that question means. Polytheism is not what the core teaching of Torah is. The core teaching of Torah is henotheism and monolatrism. Polytheism means that all deities have the same amount of power and they vie for power, to be in control, to be at the head. And that's not what is conveyed from the text, right? So polytheism is not Tanakh based, right? We can find it in other cultures, but it's not Tanakh based. So polytheism does not fit with the text of the Tanakh. The Tanakh is purely henotheistic, right? But conditionally henotheistic, and that's important. And it stresses monolatrism, okay? Exactly. So when we're looking at Eloheinu, nu is the suffix meaning our, which is the plural possessive, our. Elohe, which is our power, is one, right? And it's speaking about Yod He Wav He specifically. And you got to look at it in the context of what was going on. The Israelites are leaving out of Mizraim and they're trying to make their way to Canaan. And in the process, they're receiving these instructions and they're being groomed by Yah to understand that actually signs and wonders to get you out of Mizraim, out of your captivity in this land. So you must have a mantra that understands that there's a unity in regards to this council and that I'm the head of that council. And as long as they understand that, they adhere to that, and they push and promote that, he will continue to give them the victory. You feel what I'm saying? So a lot of times, again, people will hear henotheism and they thinking the wrong thing, like polytheism. And polytheism is not compatible with the Tanakh worldview, at least as it's prescribed by Yah. Not always how it's carried out by the people, but the way it's prescribed by Yah. All right. Polytheism, poly meaning many, and theism is the study of theos, which means God or power in the Koine Greek. But polytheism is the sense that there are multiple deities and they all have the same amount of power, right? And that all of them are open for worship by anybody. And that is what's conveyed by polytheism. Henotheism means that there's a council of deities, but there's one chief supreme deity over that council who calls the shots. Monotheism means there's only one power, there's only one deity, no other deity exists, right? And this is a discussion I have with my brother Zion Lex, and me and him gave our points for it in regards to henotheism and monotheism, but the text is not monotheistic. It's just not monotheistic. It's not there. We can believe it to be there, but the pre-exilic Israelite text and culture never subscribed to polytheism. That came after Babylonian captivity, when the Israelites set up shop during Persian captivity to rebuild the city, the walls, etc. You feel what I'm saying? So, all right, so Reliable Andrew says, reading Job 2:1, it says, the sons of Elohim came to present themselves before the Most High, and Shaitan came also among them to present himself. Who are these sons of Elohim? So my perspective, those sons of Elohim are individuals, right, that are going and performing their tasks in the earth. And Satan, who's the adversary, is also an entity that's going to from the earth doing what he does, and he also has to give an account for what he's doing. And these sons of Elohim also have to give an account for what they're doing. And the sons of Elohim are members of the council. Okay, Satan has a very distinct role, being a spiritual adversary, and he's the one that's actually in opposition to a lot of the things that are in place. But his opposition is kept at bay or in check by the Most High. So he knows what he can and can't do, what he's allowed to do. And therefore he had that, when the Most High presented Job to him, he had to ask permission, right? So this goes to show that none of these other lesser powers can ever trump the chief deity, which is El Elyon, or who we as Israelites will prescribe El Elyon to Yod He Wav He, right? So so no problem. Hopefully I answered your question. All right. Any final questions before I get up out of here, family? Let me know. I know it's late, so I'm not trying to overdo the session. Mattiyahu Yisrael asked a great question. He says, hold on. He said, if the law was only given to Yisrael, how can the other nations sin? Now, when we say the law, what law? A specific law was given to the nation of Israel. Okay, the people of Israel, that is Israel, that then became a nation. Okay, and the law that was given to them was codified specifically for a theocracy in the land of Canaan when they went into the land to subdue it and take it over. The other nations themselves have their own laws. Okay, we can see that in Ugaric. Ugaric had their laws. Okay, Babylon had their laws. Okay, even the Code of Hammurabi, the Amorites had their laws. All right, Mizraim, Egypt had their laws. So everybody had their own laws, and everybody would have to give an account after death for how they kept the laws in which it was conveyed to them. Now, from the Israelite perspective, there are many that subscribe to the Noahide laws. And the Noahide laws is when Noah, after the flood, when Noah spoke to his sons, he gave them admonitions that he received from his great-grandfather Enoch, right, or Enoch. And he gave it to his three sons, and they brought it with them. And their descendants also had universal laws in which they were to follow in order for them to be right with El Elyon. All right. But over time, people split. Other deities will allow rule and reign when the nations was carved out and assigned, all right, to these peoples. And what started to happen is we started to have a corruption of these things, but there was always universal law. And every one of these, I'll give it to you like this. When we look at the nation of Israel from a biblical perspective, you had kings that were good and kings that were bad, but you also had universal law that was indifferent of how the king carried it out. Now, the people were made aware of these laws, but ultimately it was the king and the priest that led the people astray to doing the wrong thing. This is why Israel got exiled, because they had more evil kings than good kings that was causing people to do the wrong thing. If I was somebody from the outside that came to the nation of Israel, biblical nation of Israel, during the time of one of the evil kings, I would be like, yo, these people are wicked. The heck? These people need to die. Look what they're doing. It's the same way when Israel was looking at these other nations. They were in a state in which they had corrupt leadership. And because of such, the people suffered because of the corrupt leadership and the corrupt priesthood. All right. So there's universal laws that everybody must follow. And every culture has these universal laws, but they also have other modifications to these universal laws. But if a person keeps that and they seek righteousness, which that yearning or desire is built into everybody, and they seek that righteousness, they will be judged based on the righteousness in which they seek. You know, my y'all know my stance on Shaul, but Shaul makes a great point when you go to Romans chapter 2. He makes an excellent point when you go to Romans chapter 2, and he pretty much breaks it down. Right, and I'm gonna use this just for a point of reference, right? Because he makes a great point, and it coincides with what it is that I'm explaining to y'all. So let me go ahead and bring it up. So when you go to Romans chapter 2 and you jump all the way down to verse 28, it says, a person is not Yahudi, who is one only outwardly, nor is circumcision merely outward and physical. No, a person is a Yahudi who is one inwardly, and circumcision is circumcision of the heart by the Spirit, not by the written code. Such a person's praise is not from other people, but by El. But when we jump up to verse 25, a little bit before that, it says circumcision has value if you observe the law, but if you break the law, you have become as though you had not been circumcised. So then, if those who are not circumcised keep the law's requirements, will they not be regarded as though they were circumcised? The one who is not circumcised physically and yet obeys the law will condemn you, who, even though you have the written code and circumcision, are a lawbreaker. What he's saying is there are universal laws, and there are people that keep the righteousness that's contained in Torah. And of those people who keep these universal laws and maintain the righteousness that is a written code or codified in Torah, they will be considered as one of Yah's people, but not one of the bloodline chosen people, but one of Yah's people that will be cleaved unto the house of Israel. And those who are disobedient in the house of Israel, who are circumcised and have the law, that they will be expunged, and these other outsiders will be brought in. Now, there's always a hierarchical scheme, and we know that even Paul says to the Jew first and then the Gentile, but we even see it when we look at the law, and which is codified in Torah, have some stipulations that are specific to foreigners that do not pertain to native Israelites. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, these universal laws are there, and if people or individuals from other nations keep them, those will be the ones that will be cleaved unto Israel, and you know, their righteousness in which they're able to perform as they know how to, Yah will count that, and they will be grafted into Israel. Okay, they will have their role or their place when it comes to the new kingdom that will be established. All right. So hopefully that begins to answer your question. All right. Just looking, you said, is your ontological position idealism? I need you to define that, because when you say ontological position, you know, an ontology is a state of being. Idealism. So you're saying, is my state of being concentrated into the concept of idealism? I need you to kind of like flesh that out a little bit more so I can address that for you. All right. So the shepherd says, does believing Yahusha only save you if the person is a Christian? No. So that needs to be addressed. And I've answered this in prior lectures, right? The people who follow Yahusha in regards to him being their moray and him showing them a better way on how to keep Torah in captivity. Those are the initiates into the Melchizedek order, and they have a specific role as it pertains to the nation of Israel. Now, those who are outside of that Melchizedek order, will they also receive salvation from the Most High? Of course they will. Everybody that's in Israel has a. Does that mean that everybody's part of the remnant? No. Will there be remnant that are in the Melchizedek order and remnant that's without? Yes. You know what I'm saying? And I would love to get into that scripturally and explain that. Matter of fact, Yahusha says these things for himself. You know what I'm saying? But you got to remember, a lot of the things in which he spoke, he shared things with his inner circle. It wasn't for the people, right? So there were some people that would seek to understand truth, and Yahusha was presenting it in a particular format that talked about kingdom principles for the kingdom that's to come, and actually helping initiates become part of the Melchizedek order. So there's benefits for being part of the Melchizedek order, as opposed to those who are outside of the Melchizedek order. But does that mean that if you're solely in the Melchizedek order and or if you're outside of the Melchizedek order, does that mean that Most High's not dealing with you? That's not what that's saying. That's the issue. That's what religion does. Religion causes division and all this other stuff. It doesn't explain certain things, right? So in my lectures, I try to explain those things. So if you want more information on that, I did a lecture called Capital Punishment, Human Sacrifice for the Atonement of Sin in the Bible. Check that out. Another lecture called All Sins Created Equal. Check that out. But more specifically in the Capital Punishment lecture, I actually addressed that aspect. And I've also touched on it in previous live streams as well. So anyway, yeah, do I have a lecture discussing explaining the baptism of the Ruach HaKodesh? I don't have one that deals with that specifically, but I have lectures that touch on the Ruach HaKodesh and its importance. So when you go to Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 19, when you go to Ezekiel chapter, well, let me bring it up for you so we can understand what this Ruach HaKodesh is, right? You got to go back to Tanakh and understand what this is in its context, all right? So in Ezekiel chapter 11, and we're going to start at verse, hold on, let me fix this. I don't like this translation. All right, here we go. All right. And we go to verse 18. All right. Well, actually, let's go to verse 17. Therefore, say, thus saith Yah Elohim, I will gather you from the peoples and assemble you out of the countries among which you have been scattered, and I will give you the land of Israel. When they come there, they will remove all its detestable things and all its abominations from it. And I will give them one heart and put a new spirit within them. And I will take the heart of stone out of their flesh and give them a heart of flesh. Why? That they may walk in my statutes and keep my ordinances and do them. Then they will be my people, and I shall be their power. Okay? So the Ruach HaKodesh, as it's explained in the Brit Hadashah, that was received, is the beginning of this process. You have to have spiritual cleansing first before there's a physical cleansing. And another group that also understood this was the Qumran community, right, where we get the Dead Sea Scrolls from. And they understood that, hence why they had the Melchizedek scroll, they had the War of the Messiah scroll, and they understood that you needed a priest Messiah, one that's going to do a spiritual cleansing, and you needed a king Messiah, one that's going to do the physical cleansing. All right. We also see this also in Sukkah 52a of the Talmud, where it talks about the two Messiah theory. You need one Messiah that's going to get rid of the evil inclination, which is the spiritual aspect, and you're going to need a physical Messiah that's going to cleanse the land physically of enemies, right? So what Yahushua's role was to do was to initiate the spiritual aspect, and the Son of Man, as the Son of Man while he was alive, and as his role in the heavenly realm. But the Son of Man has to come. Historically, that was speaking about a different entity. But Christianity has associated that Son of Man to come with Yahushua. They blended it together. But historically, Yahushua was speaking of another entity, whether it meant him in a different format or another individual, but he put emphasis on the spiritual cleansing, and that was his role. That's what he was supposed to do. That was his kingship, as being the high priest after the order of Melchizedek, and his objective to cleanse Israel spiritually, and in doing so can pave the way for the physical Messiah to come, where we don't have none of these detestable abominations in the land anymore, and that, you know, the Ruach is abiding at a point where it has full reign in our hearts, and our leb, in our heart, and we're able to keep these statutes, laws, commandments while we're in the land perfectly. The reason why we can't keep it perfectly now is because we're not in the land, and there's Gentiles that are in the land that are ruling, not us. That's why it cannot be kept perfectly. But when we are placed back into the land and we have the Ruach, whether it's in our lifetime or our descendants' lifetime, then the Ruach will be able to abide perfectly, where they'll be able to keep the statutes, laws, commandments perfectly. What the Ruach does now is give us a sample of that kingdom to come. When you have the Ruach, there's sins unto death and there's sins not unto death. The sins unto death you're not going to commit, because the seed of Yah abideth in you. That's the Ruach. The sins that are not unto death are violation that you may commit, that you might commit, or sometimes you can't even help it. You know, some things you'll do that make you unclean. You feel what I'm saying? But those are not sins unto death, and those are things that are prone to happen. But when you have the Ruach, or you have the Zerah, the seed of El in you, there are certain acts you're just not going to commit. And there are certain things you'll be able to enact and perform when you're able to sway nations, when you're able to heal the sick, you know, when you're able to preserve your righteousness. These are all samples of what's going to come in the kingdom that is to come. So we are the examples to the scattered remnant, that when we walk about with the Ruach HaKodesh now, we're keeping the Most High statutes, laws, commandments, and we're learning from Yahushua how to practically apply Torah within captivity. Now what we're doing is because we're becoming that beacon of light to the scattered that's across the four corners of the earth, to show them or give them a sample of the kingdoms to come. Casting out spirits, binding up things, that is a sample of what is to come. Because in the land, there's not going to be no spiritual wickedness. In the land, there's not going to be any malice. And in the land, there's not going to be nobody breaking Torah. In the land, there's not going to be nobody sick. So we've been delegated a portion or a sample of what is to come. Hence why the kingdom is within us, and we can express it outwardly in order to draw the remnant to understand that Yah is working in these final times, and sample them. And the purpose of the sample is to preserve them, to endure. So that way, when we are replaced, and we not replaced, but excuse me, but we are brought back into the land, we're able to enact the things that we've already begun now in its entirety then. All right. So hopefully that begins to answer your question. And if you go to Ezekiel chapter 11, it gives some information or backdrop on that. All right. Shalom to Kevin McBride. All right. So all right. So I think shout out to the branch, and glory be to the Most High forever. And our God is one Cooper. Our God is one Cooper. So if I'm understanding you right, just looking, you're dealing with idealism, realism, and materialism, and you're asking me if I deal with idealism. All right. So let's do this. Let's properly define these terms so everybody knows what is being discussed. So if you want to know my personal perspective, right? I share my personal perspective at times, but I also like to share my objective perspective, right? So you're asking me if I'm an idealist, right? Well, Nisi's PCs, the objective is to imbue the policies and the legislation and the statutes and ordinances that will be set up in Green Haven, infuse it with Torah principles, okay? So that way the city will prosper because this backbone will be based on Torah. All right, so that's the objective of me getting involved on the city council, so that way the legislative can reflect what we see in the scriptures. All right, but let's get back to this question in regards to idealism. So I'm gonna and I understand the concepts, but when you said ontology, when you added ontology to that, I had to really understand what do you mean in regards to that. Okay, but let's read what idealism is. Okay. In philosophy, idealism is the group of metaphysical philosophies that assert that reality, or reality as humans can know it, is fundamentally mental, mentally constructed, or otherwise immaterial. Etymologically, idealism manifests as a skepticism about the possibility of knowing any mind independent thing, which means that an idealist is a person who really is rooted in an abstract understanding or worldview that their reality is actually mental and it's immaterial. It's mostly people that say we are spirit that's living in the body, instead of people that say we're a body that have a spirit. It's really that we are a spirit living in the body, and therefore we perceive everything in our reality as being projected from the mind, and that it's not really physical, right? That is what idealism means in terms of philosophy. And remember, it's a metaphysical philosophy. And the reason why they label it as metaphysical is because for somebody to say that our reality is only what's in our mind, they are not taking into account certain things that happen independent of us, right? That is occurring somewhere that is independent of us. That has nothing to do with whether we thought about it, we've envisioned it, or whatever the case may be. All right. Remember, epistemology means how do you know what you know? Like, how is what you know demonstrated or justified? All right. So that's what idealism is. It views the material world with a high degree of skepticism. And it says that the only thing that can be known is what is in the mind. And the mind projects the reality outwardly, right? Even to the point where some idealists believe that the physical shell that you live in is a manifestation of the mind, or an extension of the mind, right? That's what idealism is in regards to philosophy. All right. Now we're going to get into materialism, because you asked me all these questions. And I don't think these are bad questions at all. And I welcome it. Materialism is a form of philosophical monism, which holds that matter is the fundamental substance in nature, and that all things, including mental aspects and consciousness, are results of material interaction. So materialism is like the opposite of idealism, which believes that nature is physical. It's made up of matter. And our understanding of how things operate is based on matter interacting with matter, right? Things that are physical, that can be touched, felt, handled, even independent of us, when two bodies attract. And it can be anything in nature, it can be something that's in space, etc., etc. But it's saying that even the mental aspects of consciousness are a result of material interactions. That means what it is that we have conceived in the mind is based on what's going on in a physical, real, material world. Okay. And I think you also, there was another ism that you have brought out. Oh, realism, right? So let's get these definitions. Like I said, unless we're speaking the same lingo, we're not going to understand each other. So when a person brings terms out, and he did a good job defining it, but if we don't have a universal understanding of these terms, then it's going to be very difficult for questions to be answered appropriately. Okay, so realism in philosophy about a given object is the view that this object exists in reality independent of our conceptual scheme. In philosophical terms, these objects are ontologically independent of someone's conceptual scheme, perceptions, linguistic practices, beliefs, etc. Now, let's go back and define this. Ontology is the state of existence, okay? When you say that there's an independent ontological existence or state of existence of an entity or some object, you're saying that it exists outside of the realm of the human mind, human perception, human spirit. If we are theists, true theists, where we believe that there's a creator deity that has created everything in the material world. Because remember, I cannot hold a pure theistic Tanakh-based worldview and be an idealist. And the reason is that when Yah created the heavens and the earth, well, he didn't really, the text doesn't tell us he created it. He really shaped, formed, and fashioned material that was already there. These things pre-existed humankind. This has nothing to do with the mind. The mind wasn't even there. The nefesh, or the living soul, which encapsulates your mind, wasn't even there. So to say that a person is an idealist, philosophically speaking, and they believe the material world is means they are taken out of that equation the creator that has made the physical realm, which we say is Eretz, or the earth, or Ha-Eretz, the earth. So it's really difficult to be an idealist, philosophically speaking, and be a pure theist as is laid out in the Tanakh, right? Now, if we move from there and we deal with materialism, materialism is just what is sensed by the entity that is physical, or that is matter. All right. Reality is not solely matter, and reality is not solely mind. Reality, when we get into realism, is a blending of the two, right? It's a perfect harmony or balance of the two. All right. There are certain things that are mental that are projected on our reality that is a figment of the imagination. And there are things that are material that is independent of that figment of imagination. And the one that governs and rules all of this is the existential entity that is sentient and that is outside of our reality as we know it. All right. And this causal agent was responsible for putting everything in place, which means that the idealism that we can posit from the text would be that of the one that created the reality in which we are currently in. Okay. So I would say I lean more towards realism, right? I don't like to use those ism terms, but if one was to describe my worldview, it would be realism. And that is, material objects exist outside of our mind, okay? But the way things are affected in our environment is based on how we conduct our behavior and what we project from our mind onto our reality. And one great example of that is when we read Bereshit chapter 1, when the Most High had physically created the material universe, all right, that we know of, and the earth itself. He created man, right, from the dust of the earth. So man came from out of a substance that already pre-existed, that was material, that was matter, that was already here. Man came out of that, and the breath that the Most High breathed into man, it was the ruach. The ruach met the actual body itself, and the soul, which is the mind, right, came into fruition. Okay, so now we have an immaterial substance, which is the ruach, and then we have the physical substance, which is Adamah, or Eretz, or the earth. That when you put them together, and the Most High, which he did in Bereshit chapter 1, puts them together, now it forms a different type of entity, right? That has a separate ontological existence that is independent of the material world around it, because he has been imbued with consciousness that he has received from his creator. So once we understand that objects in our environment have been created independent of us, it has nothing to do with us, and that we've been placed here so that way the spirit is operating a physical body, and the mind is projecting things into the reality, okay? We understand that our scope is limited, and that reality that we are actualizing every day is not solely dependent on the mind of man, okay? That other entities, for example, spiritual entities that have a influence on the physical realm, because there's spiritual entities that have influence on the physical realm, those entities are not a figment of our imagination. Well, actually, let me take that back. Some of them are. And I'll get into that another time. When man gets an idea to pursue fortunes, he has created a deity in which he worships. And that's where we get egregores from. That's deep. I'll get into that another time, but that's really heavy. But regardless of our perception, regardless of our beliefs, regardless of our conceptual framework that we have created in which to live in, there are entities, matter, items that exist existential of us, outside of us. That's extrinsic. Yah has molded the material, immaterial, and created man, and we have received consciousness, which is the link between the immaterial and material, and it's something that we possess uniquely that other entities outside of us in the terrestrial realm do not have or do not possess. All right. So hopefully that begins to answer your question. All right. Hopefully that answers your question. All right. I'm assuming that's a serious question, but hopefully that begins to answer that question for you. All right. When you say physical, you have to define what you mean by physical. When you say physical, are you relating that to material? Because Yah is immaterial. Yah is not material. Okay. So how do we do? Black Everyone says, how do we deal with people when people say we can't do the feast days outside of the land, right? In the Apocrypha, we have an example of the feast day being done outside the land. And another example of the feast day being performed outside the land is on Elephantine Island. When you look into the Elephantine Papyrus, which is written in Aramaic, you'll see that the Israelites that lived there were sending a letter of correspondence to Jerusalem and trying to figure out how the Passover should be performed where they were at in their land. So we're talking about people that was on Elephantine Island during Persian captivity that were keeping the feast day. So keeping the feast days out of the land, looking in the Apocrypha and Elephantine Island was being performed by Israelites. So the feast days was performed by ancestors when they were in the land. When it was first established, they were not even in the land yet. When they were in the land, they kept it in the land, right? When they were dispersed from the land, they were still even keeping feast days outside the land. So that's not a foreign concept when it comes to our ancestors. They understood that they still kept the feast days, more particularly Pesach and unleavened bread, outside the land. So now it's very difficult to keep it the way we can when we're running the show in the land. But it is an ethnic marker. It is what sets us apart from all the other nations around us who follow other holidays, right? That Yah has not intended for his people. Not only is it an ethnic marker, it is also a reminder. It causes us to remember Zakar, to remember what he's done in the past, and to be able to understand what is going to be performed in the future. I have a lecture that's called Feast Your Eyes on This, and I explained that in that lecture called Feast Your Eyes on This. So the feast days is an important element of our culture, okay? And when we perform it, again, it's a reminder of the past, and it is also to ensure that what's going to be performed in the future has been promised to us by Yah. We see in the book of Zechariah that the feast of Sukkot will be formed in the future. So again, these things is all tied together to make us distinct in regards to our culture from the surrounding ethnic groups. All right. So hopefully that answers the question. All right. Yes, physical as opposed to an idea. Yes, so I agree with that. Yes, Yah is outside of our abstract projections of reality. He is outside of that. All right. He's a causal agent that brought those things into existence. All right. Reliable Andrew, I agree. I agree. Shalom to Prince of Peace of Israel. All right. Yeah, so look up the Elephantine Papyrus and read the Aramaic portions of the Israelites that was living on Elephantine Island. You also see the beef between the priests of Khnum and the priests of Yod He Wav on that island as well. It's a very interesting read. But they sent instructions so that way they can keep Pesach and unleavened bread. Guess where? In Elephantine Island, which is Egypt, which is outside of Israel. All right. So are you talking about the Apocrypha reference that I made? Is that what you're talking about? Let me know if that's what you're talking about. All right. So if you're talking about that's in the book of Tobit. In the book of Tobit, chapters 1 and 2, you'll see where the reference to a feast day is there in the book of Tobit. All right. Shout out to DJ Soup in the building. I hear you, just looking. I hear you. I hear you. All right. So let me wrap up now, family, because it's kind of late. I'm gonna attempt to do another session sometime this week, possibly before Friday. And Friday, this Freestyle Friday coming up is gonna be in session as well. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this session. I thank y'all for rocking out with me. Next session, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to we're gonna go through some Torah, right? I'm gonna look at two of the statute, laws, and commandments and show you how to practically apply it today. Being that we're outside the land, we're in captivity, how to apply it today, because I think that will be helpful to some of y'all in your Torah study. So I'll go into that on my next live stream session for y'all. All right. Hopefully y'all enjoy that. All right. Appreciate that, my brother, Reliable Andrew. Shout out to Jacob James in the building. All right. So thank y'all, family, for watching. I appreciate the donations. Please share this link. Once it's over, the live is over, you can go back and check it out. But I love you, family. Thank you for your support. So Malak says, can you pray us out? All right, I'll do a quick prayer. A quick prayer. Dear Ab Yah, we come before your donor grace to say thank you for another day. Thank you for life, health, and strength. Thank you for your goodness, grace, your mercy, Ab Yah. Ab Yah, when we come before you, Yah, we are putting an appeal, Yah. What we're doing is we're asking you to provide an opportunity so we can perform what is required of us, Yah. And in the process, we need certain provisions to ensure that these things will come to pass, Yah. So, Yah, I pray that you will send the two Levi spirits, your Melakim, to watch and guard over those who join this session, protect them, their homes, and their household. Most High, Yah, prepare their minds, hearts, and souls that they may receive a word from you, Yah, in season and out of season, Yah. Whatever situations, difficulties that they are facing, Yah, I pray that you will answer their prayers so that they can become a greater servant for you, Yah. I pray that you will not pull them out of the process immaturely, but allow the process to make them, Yah. Yah, we love you. We thank you. We pray that the words that have come forth from my mouth was edifying to the audience. Most High, Yah, we pray that your Ruach was in the midst of everything that we said and everything that we did, Yah. Yah, we want to live according to your Torah, according to the righteousness that you have set before us, the footsteps that you have placed that we are to walk in, Yah. We want to be able to fill those shoes as best as we can, Yah. We love you. We thank you. We honor you. Praise you, Most High, Yah. We pray that your presence, your protection, and your provisions will continuously be with us, so that way we may continue to represent you and your future kingdom, Yah. We love you. We thank you. We honor you. Praise you. We thank you, Most High, Yah. Baruch Hashem, Yah. All right. So hopefully y'all enjoy that. Thank y'all, family, for watching. I look forward to spending more dear time with y'all again at an earlier time. And we'll speak again, family. All right. I love y'all. Thank you for watching. Peace and shalom.